You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Of the net.
You're watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Right, Chris.
All right there. All right at the back. How the devil are we all? If you're like me, if you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, you're like me, you're a tad annoyed. Just a tad annoyed. And you know, of course, what that means. Of course you do. But this is Leicester Till I Die. And you can find us. Well, here's where you can find us.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Do you remember when the Premier League or the First Division, whatever age you happen to be, was actually was won on the merit that you were the best team? When was the last time that happened? Probably 2015-16. Who won it then? Interesting. I think it's time.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Oh no. Woke up this morning feeling fine. I'm doing all the songs today. It's karaoke city tonight. And apparently, Yuri Tielemans has rejected his latest contract. Now, yes, let's just say that we're taking this as a little bit of a pinch of salt because it was in 90minutes.com. And I used to write for 90minutes.com, and I know how reliable their stories are. On a scale of 1 to 10, start looking at the minuses and work your way down. However, you know, there's no necessarily smoke without fire, as they say. And you've got Man Utd there, favourites to buy him. And then the Sun. Now, again, I know it's the Sun, and I know you probably know a lot of people won't wipe their arse with the Sun. But at the end of the day, they are owned by the same people that own Sky. And apparently, they're now number one target is Fofana. They may even come in for him in January. Now, all I can say is, how shite are these football clubs? Because if you were any good, you would have a scouting system in place where you'll be able to actually go out and buy these players when they're young, when they're not expensive. Other than that, you've just got to wait because you're useless. I mean, under Alex Ferguson, you actually were a decent club. You know, you actually had youngsters coming through because we all remember the Beckhams, we all remember the Nevilles and the Butts. Nowadays, yeah, you get the odd one, Rashford, maybe Greenwood, but you want to buy instant success, and that is why your club is in such the shite at the moment. And would these players want to come to a club? And let's be honest with you, you are being managed by the Mancunian version of Steve Bruce. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could not win an egg and spoon race. We've won more things than he has while he's been in charge at Man United. What has he won? Zilch. How much has he spent? Billions. If you had, Man United, a decent setup, which you haven't obviously got, but if you had a decent setup, you'd have already bought Fofana. But you wouldn't take the risk. So we paid 30-odd million for him. I think you need to start looking at 100 million plus, because you remember, we don't need to sell, and he's on a long contract. If you want to buy him, all I will say is 2 words: Harry Maguire. So go off, get your checkbooks ready, because that is the only way you know how to win anything, and that is by buying it. And let's face it, even that much debt as it is now, maybe we'd be happy if he did go off and get on the ESL and leave the rest of the proper clubs to play football, because Man United ain't a proper club anymore. All they are is a big, big bully. So, if you get him, you get him. That's the way, life goes on. But just be known, you are going to have to spend big to get him. If that's what you want to do, that's what you're going to have to do. Oh, tell you what, this is the preview show here on Leicester Till I Die TV. How the devil are you?
Aye, all right, Chris, this is Neil Razor Ruddock here. No, you're huge. A Leicester City fan. You run the website, Facebook, the Twitter site, Leicester Till I Die. That's what you are, Chris. Oh, Leicester Till I Die. I'm Leicester Till I Die. Anyway, Chris, well done for doing all the hard work for Leicester City. All the best, son. Neil Razor Ruddock. Aye, Chrissy. Aye.
Oh, it's Razor's here again. Razor, sorry, Craig. Sorry, should have gone to Specsavers. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm all right. I know I'd been letting myself go, but I didn't think I'd been letting myself go that badly.
Well, I'm glad I had a shave earlier on today. I wasn't looking far off that myself. Facebook user, hello, good evening. How the devil are you? Connor from America. I'm good. I hope you are as well. Tielemans is worth 80 to 100 million fee, and so is Fofana, mate. So is Fofana. Yeti boy, good evening. Welcome along. If Man United only signed young players, then they would struggle to get into the top 4. No, they wouldn't. If Man United signed and sorted out young players, they could win the league. They did it with Alex Ferguson. It's just that they've got Ronald McDonald in charge of the club that couldn't, as I say, he couldn't win a fight with himself. So, it's just the big clubs again buying the way out of trouble. And let's hope Man United go bust, eh? Let's hope it goes bust. Neil seems to have gone through a pint or 2 before making that. I think you find he's up to probably double figures. TM, good evening. Hope you're well. How
Hello.
The devil are you, TM? Talking about spending lots of money and not winning anything. I hope you're doing well, TM. If they go, I guess, Craig. But, it's just not football to me. It's just buying success, isn't it?
It is. I think it's. I think over the last 20 years since the inception of the Premier League, I think the whole football's changed. But I think, I don't think it's just here. It's the same in lots of places, particularly Germany. Germany you could say are even worse because Bayern Munich tend to buy all the best players, even from Dortmund, who are like the second best team. So they do exactly the same. They just sweep up anybody who shows any sign of being able to do well in that particular league. They sign them up. And I think Man United are, in particular, I think you used the right word in there. Well, you used a lot of words, but I'm going to pick one. And it's risk. And I don't think they're a risk-taking club anymore. Yeah, if they've got someone coming through the books, they'll get a chance. I think they do have a couple who have done that. But I don't. When it comes to transfers, I think the last few transfers where they've taken players from non-top leagues, let's say Dan James, for instance, let's say Donny van der Beek, they haven't worked out. So they seem to have this plan of we will only take players who have already been proven in the highest football leagues, and that's why they come after our players. Liverpool did it for a while. They basically took anyone who looked half decent at Southampton. Mm-hmm. They were picking them off, and I think it's just the nature of the beast. And I think until we are a regular top four side, I think we have to accept it. It's frustrating as hell. But I think most of the other teams around Europe, they know their pecking order. Atalanta in Italy are another one. They'll sell every year. And I think we, as frustrating as it is, I think we have to get used to it, that we have to understand our place in the big pecking order. And as I say, until we can be a regular, offering players regular Champions League football, they're going to want it, and but yeah, I don't dismiss your frustration, particularly at Man United.
Yeah, I get 100% where you're coming from. I just hope they realise that they're going to have to pay for these players. I mean, Leicester, we make bad signings, of course we do. Slimani didn't work out. And he was 30 odd million. But Van der Beek, for example, was nearly 40 million quid to be sat as a bench warmer with splinters in his arse. That's how good Man United. It's not the scouting system, because on that one it was a good buy. But what's he doing? They've got that many good players. And I can remember, and I said this the other day, and I'm going to upset Connor here because he's a Man United fan. Is before Alex Ferguson, Man United were not the biggest club in this country. It was Liverpool. They were rubbing your nose in the poo season after season. You got the odd FA Cup, but they were consistently winning the equivalent of the Champions League, the Premier League. And all Man United did was go out and buy players without any thoughts about where they're going to play them, where they fit into the system, but just to stop any other team buying them. And what did they win with it? Couple of FA Cups here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I remember it. They went through a lot of managers. I think Ron Atkinson was the last one before Ferguson came in. I'm sure people will correct me, but he got close. I think he finished second. He was very close to winning it, but they just couldn't get over the line. And let's not forget, Ferguson was an FA Cup win against Notts Forest away from getting the bullet as well.
Yes.
But he was a one of a kind almost, wasn't he? I think he had that team bubbling away, but then he also knew what a crop of great youngsters he had, and he was prepared to go with them. But then they were moulded by the manager, by Alex Ferguson. Yeah. Whether you could do that this day and age, I don't know. All the power seems to have gone to players. It's not in the hands of the managers anymore. So as soon as they're not playing for a little bit, if you're not at a big club and you're not playing, you want to move. If you are playing and you're not at a big club, you want to move, because agents make their money from transfers. If nobody moves, agents don't make any money. Let's be clear. So it's in their best interest to start churning stuff up, and they're into all of the magazines. And just slip this story in here for me, will you? Let's get some. Yeah. Let people know that he's turned down a contract. Let people know that a club is interested, so we can get a few more to come out of the woodwork. It's all what it is at the minute, and we can either get upset and frustrated, or we just have to accept our place in it. And our model is not buy cheap, but buy in the 20-30 million mark and sell for 60 or 70. And as a business model, it's not done as bad. It just becomes more frustrating where you've got a player like Tielemans, like Fofana, who you know are really top notch. You know, they're better than the others that we've sold. You know,
yeah. In fairness, though, I think you find Maguire, when he played for us, was top notch. He got in the England squad, and it's good to see that he kept his loyalty to Leicester by obviously giving us assist in the 4-2 win.
Exactly, yeah.
That was very decent of him. But also, joking aside, Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, he didn't buy big names. He bought, you know, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira. They weren't cheap, but it was almost our sort of model that Arsene Wenger was doing at Arsenal.
Well, I think he had a better scouting network all the way around Europe, you know, so Bergkamp, another one that he brought in. So, yeah, if your scouting network is up to scratch, then you can buy them straight off. But I don't think Manchester United are the type of club now who will take the risk. As I say, Dan James is probably the last one that they bought where they were buying potential. Didn't work out at all. So I don't think they are. I think these teams are so frightened of not being in the Champions League that they're not prepared to sort of take a step back and build a new team. You have to be in the Champions League year on year. Someone always misses out, but I don't think anybody says, right, we're going to accept that we may be in Europa League for a couple of years, but we're going to build a new team. It doesn't happen these days.
But Ferguson was able, as indeed to some degree Wenger as well, to build the new teams. I mean, how many teams did Ferguson? And I'm saying Man United, and I'm not kind of just picking on. It's just that Man United are the ones that happen to be linked today. It's the same with Chelsea. Chelsea have got more players that they've bought or developed and they've loaned out than they have actually based at Stamford Bridge. Welcome along, Ankit from Almighty Blues FC channel. Nice to have you along. Love the channel. We love you loving the channel, Ankit. Thank you indeed. And you're still top of the quiz league, so you can love us just that little bit more. Yank, that's worth checking out his channel as well. Does a lot of general football stuff. Yank Talking Smack. And no, it's not that sort of channel, before you ask. Where are we here? You have got you say them at McTominay, Shaw, Henderson, Pogba, all either came out the academy of the under-20s. 4 players. In a lot, is it? You know, and like I say, when you buy, you're buying these huge players, and you will always be in that debt that you now have got round your round.
But Henderson had a good season at Sheffield United. Shaw had a good season. I think he came from Southampton. Pogba had played around. Well, you had Pogba, you know.
Yeah.
You saw the potential and sold him, and then had to buy him back. So, you know, if the potential was there, you didn't have the patience to bring him through. You actually sold him and then bought him back. So the only one of those who's come through your system is McTominay. Now, the others have already proved themselves in the Premier League. And that's the point. It's not necessarily about buying them young. It's about buying them when they've already played in the Premier League. They've already proven that they can play at that level. So that's the thing. Not about buying young. No, you know, Fofana's young. And if you can get them young and they've had experience in the Premier League, no one would blame you for going after them. But I think the point was being made that you don't necessarily go and buy potential. You go and buy people who have already proven themselves.
It is. But like I say, then, you know, you're just... If you did it the other way around, you'd have a lot more money to buy a lot, better players, maybe. And it's not all about buying players. You can go out and buy all the Pogbas, all the Ronaldos again, all these other players that you think are wonderful, and you're not going to win a thing this season. So, you know, possibly.
I think the other thing is, that just while we're on it, just a quick one. I think the other thing is that the turnaround of managers at a lot of these clubs is much more than it ever was. So it's rare that a manager gets a chance to build a team. They come in on the back of someone failing who's been there for 2 seasons, knowing full well that they've probably only got a couple of seasons. So there's no way that they can actually buy potential and then bring them all through. They've got to hit the ground running or they're out of a job. Yes.
Like you say, it is sad. And, you know, how many, and I'm not, for Alex Ferguson made mistakes, bought bad players. Wenger certainly did towards the end of his career, and Mourinho's bought more than his fair share of donkeys. But you've got to have a look, and we can name 3 clubs: United with Pogba, Chelsea with Lukaku, Man City with De Bruyne, that had all these players, sold them, and then brought them back for 2-3 times as much money as anything. If you were a company, you'd be out of business.
I think De Bruyne was actually at Chelsea. And again, I'm sure someone will tell me wrong. I'm sure Chelsea had De Bruyne as well when he was younger.
I think
they sold him. They sold him out to Germany. So
right. Well, I got my rant off the chest. If Man United want to be known as the club that tried to buy the league and failed, then that is fine. There will never be a club that earned it.
The only thing that was surprising from that list that you've got of the prices to buy Tielemans was that Newcastle wasn't on it. How quickly things change in a week.
I know. And why would Arsenal be on there? Do you know what I mean? And why are Man United above Liverpool when Liverpool at the moment are the better team? It just doesn't make sense.
Liverpool are the team that I would expect if he stayed in this country. It would be Liverpool. I would expect.
And I think if you're there as Mr. Tielemans' agent, you look and okay. Let's be honest with you. Man United can't offer particularly necessarily any more than a Liverpool or a Man City. Yeah. Where would you sooner go? As I think most of these players would sooner say, I'd sooner have Klopp as my manager or Guardiola as my manager than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to be honest with you, because he's not a winner,
It's interesting that Man City are not there as well, because Tielemans, you would think, would be such a Man City player, someone who can see those passes. Yeah, you can imagine him and De Bruyne sitting in the middle, just feeding passes through. Be awesome.
Yes. At the end of the day, like I say, we are talking 90minutes.com. Not exactly known for their, like I say, I used to write for them, so I know how truthful some of their stories can be, say no more, allegedly, and along with the Sun as well, which isn't known necessarily for always getting the right screw in the right hole. Anyway, there is a match this weekend, but let's just leave you with this. I've got to do that. I think what makes it more fun is the fact that it's a Man United fan that's laughing at Man United. Okay, so Sunday, we've got a bit of a wait. 2:00 kickoff. It's not on TV. It's not on national radio. But you can get us on Radio Leicester if you are within the county boundaries, or lcfc.com/radio if you are outside, via obviously the website. Down to the Brentford Community Stadium. Simon Hooper is our referee. Can't say that he stands out to me as good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know if you know him at all, Craig.
No, yeah, I've seen him a few times. He's had a few games. He's sort of almost like second tier Premier League referee. The funny one is for me is Lee Mason being on VAR. I thought they'd shipped him out because I haven't seen him reffing a game this season, to be honest.
They're sneaking him back in and they've given him to Leicester. What have we done to deserve it?
Right. I mean, don't expect any sensible decisions out of VAR, that's for sure.
Well, did we ever? I mean,
fair point.
It is, and in fairness, not just Leicester. Every team out there has had their fair share. I think we're all up to our limit with VAR, to be honest with you. But hey, we've won 2. We ended Man United's 29 winning streak away from home. We have beaten them for the last 3 times. They haven't beaten us in 4. And we're going off to the new boys Brentford, who at the start of the season, it's one of the few predictions I got right, which was the fact that they'd probably be the best of the 3 that have come up. Right. It's good to see them doing well, because I've always said I like to see the big teams struggle and the little teams, and I still include us in that, do better, except obviously when they play us. But
it's interesting because I I think Brentford, from everything I've read about them, are about the closest team you can get to a real kind of Moneyball team, if you're familiar with that phrase and that way of buying players. There was a famous film with your double in it, Brad Pitt, where it was one of the American sports, and they basically just buy players based on stats and how they fit into a system. And Brentford are very much of that ilk in terms of looking at all the stats. And if the stats say they should perform to a certain level, they'll go and invest. And they're not buying, huge named players. They're doing it the right way. And they've stuck with quite a few of those that got them up. And they all look to be buying in to it. It's definitely one of those you can say that they are playing for the manager. If anybody saw the end of sort of the last 15 minutes of the Alamo, the Brentford Chelsea game, it was astonishing. To be honest, how they pinned Chelsea back. Chelsea is supposed to be one of the best footballing sides, but it just shows you when you get up in the face of opposition, then you can put them under all kinds of pressure. And they were very unlucky not to get something out of that game.
It is, and it's nice to see them. I hope they don't do a sort of a Sheffield United or as Leeds are doing at the moment, and get that old second season thing. But actually, that's to come next season. Yeah. At the moment, though, if we look at the table, they are. Have I got the table? He says. No, he hasn't. Oh, right. I did have problems with my internet. That's my excuse just before we came live. But they are sitting at the moment in 9th place, 2 places above us and just a point above us. And they've sort of, had a reasonably good start. And they've got Tony, Ivan Tony up front. They're in a plus situation with the goal difference. At the moment, you've got to say, well done, Brentford. Yeah, they've got a way of playing, but it's not just up and at them. They do try and play a bit of football. They've got good players, but they also have that team spirit that they play on the front foot. They play very aggressively, very quick, which means it's going to be an interesting game because you've got to hold your nerve. I think against a team like Brentford, you've really got to hold your nerve when you're on the ball. You've either got to buy the fouls or you've got to pick your passes. And when a team's coming at you, you know what it was like. And I'm not comparing them to the old days of Stoke, because Stoke were pretty much a route one, but they were very aggressive. And Brentford remind me of them in terms of that aggressive closing down. Yes, there we are. But if you can play through that press, then you're going to get chances. Yes. So I can see us. I don't know if we'll be allowed to control this game as the way that Brendan would all
like.
3 of them.
I know would like us to control it because I don't.
You are Razor Ruddock. You're pissed.
I've not been drinking. It must be the cold meds. They're going to come at us. So I can see us turning the ball over quite a bit. So it could be edge of the seat stuff, I think. But if we can play through it and pick our passes and find our men, there should be opportunities. Yeah.
Quiz question for you here. So I know you'll get it right, being the quiz master. Do you remember the last time we played Brentford?
I can only remember us playing them in a League Cup game over 2 legs. I went to, and I'm sure we beat them 4-2 away with 4 late goals, actually. And John O'Neill scored, but that's going back. So we may have played them. I am so. Do you know? I have waited for this moment. You know, all those times you used to ask me questions and I got it wrong. Yeah. Finally, revenge, cold dish the best. Oh, I tell you what, we played them in the FA Cup.
Too late now. I have to take your first answer.
We played them in the FA Cup twice, in fact, haven't we?
Well, we played them the last time we played them was last season. If I can get it up here, it was the FA Cup 4th round.
Yeah.
I think we did quite well in that competition last.
I think we did.
It was a good start for us. 3-1. Under. Yeah, it's one of the. I don't think it might be the only goal he scored for us. All in the second half. We weren't behind. In fairness to Brentford, they went ahead against us.
Yeah.
Tielemans.
We played them the season before in the FA Cup as well, didn't we?
Sorry, say that again.
We played them in the FA Cup the season before and won 1-0 at their place, and Damari Gray scored.
You see, you know this information, but that wasn't the question that I asked you. But yes.
Or Iheanacho scored. Maybe it was Iheanacho. But anyway, yes, I know. I'm backpedaling. Just take your victory and enjoy it.
Yeah, I will. But no, in all fairness, they looked a good side even then, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. We never looked comfortable in either of those 2 cup games, to be fair.
No.
Because we do tend to suffer if teams come at us and close us down. It was nice to see as picking our passes in the last couple of games that we seem more composed on the ball. So that's good to see. But they've got to, as I say, they've got to hold their nerve.
Do you say? I mean, I was interested to see how we did against Spartak Moscow, and in fairness, any sort of a win for me over there was good. And I know we weren't holding on at the end, but we made it difficult for ourselves. I don't think 4-3 was a justification of how we played, but I think if we'd have lost that game or not played well after the Man United game, I think everything that we'd sort of gained in the Man United game would have been lost, because to my mind, it was the best we played all season. And it was almost like the line in the sand. Before that line, we were rubbish. Now, it's the kicking on, if you like. And that was the Leicester from last season. And I'm just wondering whether Brentford is the right team we should be coming up against next.
Well, momentum is a great thing in football, so that's why it was important. And Brookline says there, I think it's right. If we can hold our nerve, pick our passes, play through the lines, then they will give us opportunities. We've just got to be strong at the back, and that's the worry at the minute where we look a little bit fragile. But you would hope if everyone's fit, we should be compact enough to deal with what they've got. They haven't got a lot of trickery. They've got a guy, or 1 or 2 guys, one that we'll come on to later, who are decent. But we should have enough to deal with them at the back. Particularly, I think he will go with the 3 again, because we know that if the game goes that way, then they're definitely going to be wanting to throw the ball into Ivan Toney, who loves a scrap. Now, if we've got defenders there who love a scrap as well, Soyuncu, then we should be okay. But definitely, we should have enough quality in the other half. And over the past couple of games, hasn't it been great to have our Maddison back? He's starting to look like his old self, which is great. And
he was given very much a freer role, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think I think it was Daka's 3rd goal against Spartak Moscow, where it was a great through ball played by Tielemans in between inside the fullback. But the ball that Maddison played into Tielemans was the ball for me, that he saw the gap in between 2 players and played that straight pass. And there was a lot of talk earlier on in the season that these 2 couldn't play together. It was being likened to the Gerrard Lampard axis for England, that the 2 couldn't play together. But there's been encouraging signs over the last couple of weeks that the 2 can play together, particularly with Maddison in a bit more of an advanced position. So that's encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. And I've got to be honest with you, I think there's so many positives. Iheanacho, I mean, his play off the ball, it is okay. He didn't, score the other night, but he didn't need to, in fairness. But just what he brings to the game, he's a big guy. He's got some brilliant little touches.
He has. I think he came into his own last season, didn't he? And he looks much more comfortable. I think the players are are accepting that he's a good player, so they're more likely to sort of play him in that they weren't before. You know, when you're playing with players who you have doubts about, then you tend to not give them the ball. I remember I can't remember his name. He was a fullback at Liverpool a couple of seasons, and it was almost like they refused to give him the ball because they didn't have the confidence in him. But the team clearly got confidence in Iheanacho. He seems to be much more part of it and to play his role in it, that he's not just a goal scorer, the same way that Jamie did last season when he was playing and paired with Iheanacho, that he accepted his role, that he wasn't necessarily going to be the guy scoring the goals. Mm-hmm. So if you've got players who are selfless in that fact as well and put the team first, then that only bodes well.
Bookline there says, how great to have Craig agree with me. It's far better than a shout out from
You're welcome.
I don't think Bookline realises that Fox's focus is indeed Brad. So we may have an apology coming in a minute from Bookline, he feels. Another player I want to mention that's done quite well in the last couple of games is Marty. I know it's very easy to say when a team is playing well, they all play well, etc. But again, you know, it's not often when we're saying we've got Vestergaard and we'll come on to him later. But, oh, God, no, don't want him in. We're picking a Marty over another defender.
Again, I think the formation suits him. You know, the three. He always looks much more comfortable in a three. And he does, you know, he's quite vocal. You know, if you watch him when he's not on the ball as well, he likes to organise a little bit. I guess some of that of Johnny Evans has brushed off on him as well. Yeah, he's a decent reader of the game, and he's using the ball a little bit better as well. I think he's been told to cut out the silly mistakes, although it was disheartening again to see Johnny and Soyuncu trying to play their little triangles out for that goal, but. Yeah, by and large, Amati hasn't got caught up in any of that. And as a straightforward defender, you know, he's quite aggressive. So all fair play to him.
We normally do in this show go off track at some point. I think Terry's going to take us off track a little bit earlier. Let's get this out of the way. Nothing to do with football, but do you and Craig remember Fluffy Freeman, the DJ with his Brentford Nylon advertisement on television? Yes. Brentford Nylons were the pre-MFI, which were the pre-DFS of the day, because they were always got a sale on. Even worse, I remember the bloody, you know, nylon bed sheets, which were horrible things.
Yeah, I'm glad you were saying that your nylons were your bed sheets and not those that you pulled up your legs, Chris.
well, you know, let's just leave it at that for now, shall we? You know,
Brentford Nylons. That is a blast from the past, Terry. Well done.
Yes. How old are you, Terry? Boy. And Bookline here. Yeah, here we go. Did not know at Fox's focus was you. Are you also Leicester Till I Die admin in the long ball? He is. He's not Leicester Till I Die, because that's me. So the one that's Leicester Till I Die and third in the long ball league is me, Brookie. The one that's Leicester Till I Die admin and one off the bottom is Brad. I just want to make that clear, just so you know the difference. You know, obviously, I think Terry is old. I think, you know, Brentford Nylons. Bloody hell, that's going back a bit, isn't it? You know, Brendan Rodgers made an admission of Yannick Vestergaard that he wasn't planning on him having this much game time. I mean, you know, when you buy a player and then kind of say, well, I wasn't going to play him that much. I don't know what that says.
I mean, Brendan's not the tallest of men. Did he buy him to get the stuff off the top shelf for him or what? I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure why you're buying somebody that you don't expect to have a lot of game time for.
I know.
You know, unless he just thinks, you know, he's somebody to have on the bench to see games out, or, you know, or if teams are throwing balls in the box. But that seems a strange admission.
But they didn't work with Spartak. They brought him on and they got the third.
Well, yeah, indeed. He looked awful again.
Yeah. This is almost like a Marty part 2 here, really, because Vestergaard apparently started 6 games across all competitions, but City have not won any of them. On the other 7 City have played this season, They've won 6 and lost 1. Brendan, what are you doing? I mean,
some would say there's a pattern emerging.
Yes, and when I did the special with the Southampton guy, very kindly, you know, the one with the shirt, he was sniggering when we bought Vestergaard. So, but then again, in fairness, we probably couldn't afford Tchaikovsky, and at least we did need some sort of cover, but maybe not a cover that's like a bit like, you know, Swiss cheese, full of holes and what have you. But we're going to come on to the back four in a second. But going into the game here, I did bring it up earlier, but just going into the game here, these are the sort of the inform or the last 5 games that each team's played. Brentford 3 wins, a draw and a loss. And, you know, the draw against Liverpool was very commendable. And like you said, they threw everything at Chelsea. It was like Zulu Part 2, wasn't it? And then you've got us with Burnley drawing, Legia Warsaw, who obviously got stuffed by Napoli the other night. Threw a lead away against Palace, but did the other turn around against Man United and Spartak? I think it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's going to be tight. What worries me is the fact that we can't hang on to a lead.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't seem we can. You know, we've shown that a couple of times. Napoli 2-0 up, Crystal Palace 2-0 up. Yet Brentford don't seem to know when they're beaten. You know, the comeback that they had against Liverpool was phenomenal. You know, to have almost like their hearts broken, but then still to find a way to come back and snatch a draw. And again, they should have done the same against Chelsea. You know, they were the better team, particularly for the second half. And, you know, that could easily have been 5 games unbeaten against some decent opposition. So it's not going to be a walkover, that's for sure.
No. Fox's focus stroke Brad just wants to remind us all that when we do the prediction show, he is actually top of that. Even though he predicted a Norwich win, he still managed somehow to be top of that league. I loved it, the fact that somebody the other day, I can't remember where it was in chat, actually called him Mr. North Macedonia.
Well, it just seemed to be, I mean, maybe he's got a thing for teams that start NOR. Because,
yes,
you know, maybe that's why he felt he had to go for Norwich as well as North Macedonia.
Emmanuel, I wonder where you were from. I think you may be from Central Africa area. So let's. I'm going to leave Brad and Brookline to have their little chat in the room. I think
make up in the green room or whatever.
Yes. Kiss and make up, guys. Kiss and make up. So this is the season so far. If I can just bring it up so that I can. I don't know if you're able to see that.
Yeah,
I'm struggling. But let's have a look. Where are we? Season so far. Here it is. So, again, I mean, the average goals conceded per match is there or thereabouts. They've only had 1 clean sheet. So, you know, that gives us something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the chances created, I mean, we're getting better with that, obviously, with the last couple of games. The average goals scored is probably the main one, but like I say, I can just see it is very tight compared to something we've recently compared to.
It is, but you know, but these are the sort of games that we have to be going and winning. You know, that we've tripped up in games already where we thought we should have been picking up point. So this is one. I mean, this could be one of those where it brings Brentford back down to earth. It could be one of those games. A lot of these teams where they come up and they do well or they go on a good run, sooner or later they get a game that sort of shows them how tough and how ruthless the Premier League can be. Let's hope that that this weekend is their game.
Indeed. Well, yeah. Well, Brad says here, sorry, it distracted me this. He's got shares in North Macedonia FC.
He could run for president, probably.
I could see Brad as Borat, couldn't you? I'm not sure if I could see him in the green mankini. In fact, I know I don't want to see him.
Now, why
in
would
the
you
green
put that?
mankini.
Why would you put that thought in anyone's head, Chris?
Because it went into my head, and it just shouted "share with Craig" to me. You know,
Yeah.
I will leave that. I will leave that thought with you for the weekend. So, I mean, head
You're
to
throwing
head
yourself now, haven't you?
yeah, so my mind has totally gone now. Okay, come on, I can't be thinking about this. But I mean, that's the head to head, but it doesn't really mean a lot because it's been a while, like you say, apart from cup games than we've played. But we have got sort of the more wins and the more goals over them. So fingers crossed, like I say, it is going to be a continuation of our good luck. I'm watching the time because I know you're on a schedule tonight, but we're going to have a look. You've not gone, and I do love this point, you've actually not gone for a combined 11, and I'm quoting you on this just for anybody that's watching. This is Craig's words, not mine. There isn't one of the Brentford team that would get into a combined 11. Ouch. You can answer that when we come back, and you can tell us who the one to watch is. Indeed. And don't forget, Tuesday, you will be able to, I'd like to say, read my column on the BBC website. It sounds rather impressive, that, doesn't it? Read one's columns on the BBC Leicester City homepage on Tuesday. It might just have a reference to Fofana and Tielemans. Who knows? But basically, Craig...
Let it go, Chris. Let it go.
I am the new Piers Morgan. But basically, Craig, you basically were saying Brentford was shit, and that's what you were trying to get across, wasn't it?
No, that was not the case at all. I was not saying that they are words that we shouldn't use because we need to make sure that YouTube.
Exactly.
I think we are family.
Yes.
So, no, you just go through that team man for man. I would struggle to choose anyone that was going to come up against any Leicester player and take the place. I mean, you're probably the closest one you could get to was the keeper. The keeper's had a very good season. And we all know, he's looked pretty solid. From what I've seen, he kicks the ball into play. So he's got that on Schmeichel. But, Schmeichel's been great over the seasons and he's a great shot stopper. So I couldn't see where I would swap any. So it made having a combined 11 a little bit futile.
And also as well, I mean, my thought when you were going to go as well for the one to watch, and you haven't done, but I thought you were going to go for Ivan Toney because he was the obvious one. Yeah. But again, even he wouldn't get in because all three of our strikers are on such a hot, run of form at the moment.
I mean, Ivan Toney was a player that a lot of people thought that we should have gone for in the summer and the summer before as well when he was doing well down with Brentford. And he's definitely a handful. But I mean, if you look at his goals, I think has he got 2? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I think his goal return isn't great. He is a handful, but he's not. And I think at least one of those is a penalty. So he's not. He's not setting the world alight. He just causes trouble. He's almost, I don't want to be diskind, to him, but he has the same kind of effect as an Andy Carroll would have. You're going to have a battle with him. A centre half knows they're going to be in a battle with Ivan Toney. So from that perspective, he is a handful. But would you put him in ahead of Iheanacho, ahead of Vardy, even Daka? I don't think anyone else would, to be honest. So, if anybody can pick on a Brentford player and say who they would have ahead of any of ours, then feel free to drop it in the comments.
Or answers on a postcard, as they say.
Well, indeed. I mean, would you have taken anyone, Chris?
To be honest with you, no. And that is, I mean, I struggle, to be honest with you, anyway, with the combined 11s, as you know, because I don't, once you get past the obvious players, you know, I mean, I the one that you've picked in a second for the one to watch, I'm like, who the hell is he? I don't follow once you get past the well-known ones, even from the Man United, I struggle to know how good they are, what they've done well. But no, I do. I was being facetious a little bit, you know, and you're quite right. I shall go and smack myself later for using words that we shouldn't be using, you know. But please now, this is the gentleman. Tell us all about him. And I'm a bit worried because normally when you do this, or whoever you pick does have a brilliant game against us. Yeah. But this is your one to watch.
Yeah, Brian Mbeumo. He's French, 22. They bought him from Troy a few seasons ago. I think this is his third season. He joined them in 2019. He represented France at under 17, under 20, and under 21. He was nominated last season for the EFL Player of the Year. And he averages, during his time with Brentford, he's averaged a goal every 4, which isn't bad for a winger. But he's a very direct and tricky player. And he's only scored 2 goals this season. But he's got a great stat that he's also hit the woodwork 6 times. So he's clearly a player. He's either a player who's getting into great positions and can't finish, or he's just been really unlucky. But if a winger's getting that many goal attempts, then that's that he's doing something right. As I say, he's very tricky, and they're the kind of players that we tend to struggle with. You know, those who've got quick feet around the edge of the box. So I like him. I noticed him last season. And when I saw him in pre-season in a couple of games as well, in the early games in this in the Premier League season, he looks like someone who could do some damage. So I think whoever's playing that down that side is going to have a tough game on their hands.
Good evening to Neil. Thanks for joining us. How the devil are you, sir? Quickly going to run through these last 2 points now, Craig, because I'm conscious of the time for you. Back 4 or 3 or 5, whichever way you want to do it. Third game in a week.
Yeah.
Who would you go for? We're not going to go through the whole team. No. I'm just interested in the defence because of obviously the problems we've had there.
If everyone's fit, for me, it's the 5 that played against Man United. I thought, you know, there was a lot of great performances in that, but I thought Castagna had a fantastic game at left wing back, to be honest. You know, I normally prefer him over on the right, and I think I even put him in the team where we picked a combined 11 for that Man U. I put him in at right back over Pereira, but I thought he had a great game at left back, and that just looks really solid. If you're going with the 3 and you need your wing backs to provide the width, then Pereira and Castagna are fantastic. You know, they do that job. So for me, that's where I would go. That's very much a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I know they are assessing Timothy Castagna. Perez is being monitored for an illness, and Daka is likely to be dropped because I'm sure Jamie Vardy will probably be coming back for the Premier League. My one thing to lean on from that though is Evans. Can he manage those 3 games? Do you think?
I think so, because I think if he's in a 3 as well, his workload is cut down a little bit. He's not being pulled out of position as much. If he's in a 2, he's having to cover a fullback as well as his own position. I think in the centre of a 3, he can almost just dictate what goes on around him. And you saw against Manchester United that he didn't come out of that pocket very much at all. So I think from that point, you can manage him. It's maybe a trickier game because of the physicality that Ivan Toney brings. And I'm sure he'll probably like to pull himself onto Evans or Amati. But I think he can cope with it. I would hope so anyway, more so than Vestergaard, but you never know. The thing with Vestergaard, you could look at it and say, right, you know, he should do well in the air against Ivan Toney. But Ivan Toney apparently is only 5'10", although he jumps as if he's 6'4".
Yes,
whereas Vestergaard jumps as if he's 5'7". So there's a little bit of a mismatch the wrong way, and I would be a little bit wary of Vestergaard's lack of physicality. We've seen him get beaten up by strikers less physicality than Ivan Toney. So I'm hoping everyone's fit and he sticks with that 5.
Even if he doesn't start, but if he does start Evans, but maybe comes off after 60 minutes or whatever, and obviously Vestergaard, maybe he should be renamed as useless as the chocolate fire guard. Bum, thank you. And finally, I'm here all week, unfortunately. Finally, score predictions. Now, it's actually, as you know, we do the score predictions with the ex-players, and as funnily enough, I always do mine first so that I can never be accused of copying anybody else. And then obviously all the others send them in individually. But it is actually, apart from Steve Lynex, who is once again going for the reverse psychology bit, these are what we've all gone for. So I've gone 2-1, as I think we will concede because that's just us at the moment. Maybe we should put a pizza on offer again. Marshy's gone 1-1. Steve Walsh has gone 2-1. Jerry Taggart, unfortunately, has agreed with me at 2-1. I say unfortunately because he's top of the league, so I want to get it right and I want him to get it wrong. Steve Lynex, like I say, with his reverse psychology, 2-0. And Ian Wilson has gone 1-1 as well as Marshy. Your favourite's still available, Craig, if you want to pop it in there. And I bet you've been told that a few times. What are you going to go for?
I'm actually going to go down that route. I'm going to go for a 3-1. I think
never doubted it. Doubted it.
I think if the game plays out the way I think it might, and we can keep our nerve and get our good players on the ball, I think we'll create quite a few chances. It's just about whether we can take them. So I'm going to go 3-1.
If we had an award for the best comment of the day, they do sometimes, don't they, on the radio? But I think if I had an award for the most optimistic score prediction for a game, Brookline would win it hands down this week.
Okay.
7-1. I would love that. As Kevin Keegan said, I'd love it if we beat them. Love it. I'd love it even more if it was 7-1. But somehow I don't think it will be. But yeah,
well, I wasn't. I'd love it as well. I wasn't far off last week. I think I had us to beat Man United 3-2, and so that scoreline was looking good for about 10 minutes anyway. But
yeah, how are you doing in the long ball?
I'm not doing too bad considering I missed at least. I think I've missed 2 weeks.
One of those was down to you, though.
Oh yeah. One was definitely down to me.
Yeah, and you're still above Brad.
Yeah, I think I'm about 5th or 6th, something like that. And wow. I was a second away from having a great. I had Palace to beat Arsenal 2-1 away last week. Well.
I did. That was so annoyed. Yeah. But anyway, Craig, as always, I think we've just got you in there under the time limit for you. But no, brilliant. Thanks so much for coming on. As always, you're a true gentleman, sir, and a source of all knowledge, a wise old owl, indeed you are. And we'll possibly see you next Thursday for the new quiz. We've got a pilot show coming out next Thursday.
Well, we'll see how much of a wise old sage I am, won't we? I think
we will. Sure. We will indeed. I know you can't stop, so I'll send you a message about that as well. Yeah. I might have to rename it after what you told me. I don't know. You've shot me down there, but thank you very much, sir. Are you going to the KP? Oh, no, it's at Brentford, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, I could go to the
Brad
KP.
In his green mankini in my mind.
Yeah, no, I would have liked to have gone to Brentford. I went to the old ground, Griffin Park, I think it was, for that game which I mentioned, which was the old League Cup game. But yeah, I think tickets are in short supply of this one. But no, good luck and enjoy the day for anyone who is going.
Indeed. And I've got to say as well, very, very quickly, congratulations and great respect to the 25 Leicester fans that got out and made their way to Moscow. That's being a fox.
Yes,
That's being a true fox. Thanks very much, Craig. Hey, Enjoy
Cheers.
the weekend, and
Thanks a lot,
here's
Chris.
the 3 points. Fingers crossed. And we'll see you next week. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Chris. Cheers,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks very much, Craig, there. As always, yes, we are piloting a new quiz next week. Has anybody watched Squid Game? I have just finished it, and it is like I'm a celebrity on meth. I mean, it's basically what it's even down to the meal before the final game. I totally didn't get it. Unfortunately, I watched it because everyone was going mad about it, and then I kind of had to watch it to see where it was going. But basically, we're not going to be playing the Squid Game, so don't worry. If Craig gets a question wrong, he gets shot. We're not quite that bad. We're not quite that bad. Although, having said that, let me write to Channel 5. You know, they'll try most things. So that is coming up next Thursday, 9 o'clock, with Craig and Dan, the Burnley fan. Dan, the Burnley man. You may recognise the format when we do it. It is kind of based on a very popular TV quiz. And we've called ours The Race. You know where it's going, don't you? And I just want to say a big, huge thank you to you all. As you know, we do all these shows on YouTube, which I'm still trying to sort out details with. I'm really struggling. But we also transfer it onto podcasts, so you can listen to it later while you're doing the washing up, ironing, making love to the missus. You know, don't tell her, she won't know. I'm just sticking you there, you know. And just don't laugh too much. But we've not been doing the podcasts as long as we've been doing the YouTube shows. I think we started the podcasts around Christmas time, and we're actually up. We've just gone over the 10,000 listens, and that is absolutely amazing. So thank you, everyone. You can find it on Amazon Music. Apple iTunes is the big one. Most people seem to listen to it on there. Google, and if you Google, you'll find us on the first page if you search Leicester City FC podcast. Anchor, Spotify, and Podcast Addict, to name but 6. But like I say, 10,000 listens is amazing. And if you have a smart speaker, then just ask yours to play, and you have to say this in full, the podcast Leicester Till I Die, and you'll be able to listen to me in wonderful, beautiful stereo. Yep, thanks very much, Terry. Take care, mate. All the best. Thanks for tuning in. So I say thank you to everybody else. What's coming up? When are we back? Well, we will actually, yes, we will be back for this. Indeed, we will. Sunday, 4:30. It's usually about one man and his dog Antiques Roadshow time, isn't it? Ignore that. Pop onto the channel. Subscribe if you've not subscribed yet. Talk MU. Good evening, sir. Welcome along. Man United fan there. As late as a Harry Maguire tackle. That's what you are, so just going. But thank you for the effort of popping on. Yeah, 4:30 Sunday for the post-match show, and then we're all back next week with all the normal shows. And I say that extra quiz show on the Thursday. Pilot version, see how it goes, bit of fun, and see if it works or not. And we've got another new show coming up towards the end of the month as well. We're going to call it the Three Amigos. What's all that about? Tell you more about that towards the end of the month. Have a good weekend. Go out shopping, whatever you do on a Saturday when we don't play. I'm sure the missus will all have you doing something. And we will see you, see you, Jimmy. See you 4:30 on Sunday. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for all the listeners on the podcast. And thanks for all the watches. It's been great. Thanks very much. Take care. Stay safe, guys.
That's all, folks.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube
and follow all them social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.